The Stampede case, NDTV has accessed that Stampede status report, the Stampede that took place in Bengaluru that claimed 11 lives. Now, the government says that there was no formal request for permission and the standard protocols were abandoned and no medical facilities were set up and the injured were taken to the hospital in police cars. Now, the Royal Challengers Bengaluru invited people for that victory parade to the Chinnaswamy Stadium unilaterally without really consulting or seeking permission from the city police. The government of Karnataka has gone on to say in its report to the High Court on that stampede that killed 11 people. My colleague Deepak joining us to get us the very latest. Deepak, the Karnataka government in its defense is saying that the permission for such events needs to be taken 7 days in advance. But here they were told rather than being asked about the event barely 20 to 22 hours before the event, and this was about 6:30 in the evening the previous day.
Well, now everyone has been talking about the stampede. Everyone has been wanting to get clarity from the government. Now, the Karnataka High Court had taken up a suo motu case after the stampede and asked several questions and posed it to the government. They had asked for a status report. At that point in time, the government had, given the status report after a few days, but had said that it will continue to remain in a sealed cover because there is a magistral inquiry, and this status report could somewhere affect that and also could be misused by the other parties involved. It was only recently that the Karnataka High Court decided that, well, this is not an issue of national interest and this, a particular report should be given to the other parties and there should be full disclosure of this report. Now, NDTV has accessed this report, which, clearly says that it was the organizers that are completely to blame here. Starting from the permission that was sought, they're saying it was not even a permission, it was an intimation of sorts that came in from the DNA on behalf of RCB on the 3rd, that is when the IPL final was held at about 6:30. They say for permissions to be given for such a procession, there is a particular, protocol to be followed. 7 days prior, this permission should be sought. But here, it was only a few hours prior that permission was sought. So it is not even going to be considered as a permission, just an intimation. They even then go on to list out 3 different instances where social media posts were put out by the Royal Challengers Bengaluru, and then even a video message by Virat Kohli himself asking crowds to gather, at the Chinnaswamy Stadium for the victory parade. And here, once again, it was without any sort of permissions that were given by the police. Then they talk about mismanagement at the gates. They talk about the free passes issue. Initially, everyone was told anybody can get in, and while people were gathered in huge numbers, over 3 lakh, that's what their estimate is, that they say that all of a sudden there was confusion and panic that was created by telling people that there would be limited passes. And that led to people, getting into a little bit of a frenzy. And then at the gates, when they started to open it, there was poor management which led to stampede at 8 different gates is what they're saying. The police, the government report says, acted swiftly, prevented a further incident, shifted people from the stampede location to the hospitals in the police van themselves. They're even here saying that after the stampede, they didn't abruptly cancel it because they thought there would be a law and order situation. There could be, some sort of rioting or any unforeseen circumstances. And that's why they allowed, a curtailed event to go on. So nowhere in the entire report do we see an outright blame on the cops. But in the action taken, the police here, of course, say that, they've suspended the police officers, they've registered FIR, they've given compensation, they've removed the political secretary to the chief minister. They're also saying that, of course, we've even transferred the intelligence chief. So the question here that comes up is, while the entire blame is being put on the organizers, the government, of course, on its end says that they had no responsibility here. On the other hand, they're not blaming the police, but then why did the suspension of the police officers also come by is another question that definitely could be raised.